Hi people, my name is Mbakir again as always and as usual. This is simply something interesting I'm going to show you as the header of this video gives away. This is a very interesting case of borderline personality disorder now. This video is specifically a reference to a video, both part 1 and part 2 that you can find linked in the description below, as well as the definition of borderline personality disorder for those of you that aren't familiar with it. It's also abbreviated as BPD, which I will be referring, which is how I'll be referring through it through, which is how I will be referring to it from now on. Now let me just play like a minute or two of the video. This is taken from a YouTube channel called Soft White Underbelly. The host, his name is Mark Laita. Laita. You can check out his YouTube channel. I've already, I think, done a video about where I simply refer to one of his videos in the past. I've done a video about a topic in which I included one of his videos. He essentially interviews people that are mentally broken and damaged and whatnot. Now, take a look at this interview. I'm just going to play it for like 2 minutes. And again, I'm going to give people like 30 seconds afterwards to like have everything sink in, and then I'm going to elaborate.
All right, Savannah.
Hello.
Savannah, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton.
Mhm.
Tell me about your family.
Well, my parents split up when I was 2, my mom and dad. And then she got with my stepdad when I was 3, and they were both addicted to meth, crack, and alcohol. So you can imagine there was a lot of like verbal abuse, physical abuse. My mom told me to kill myself a lot, things like that.
At what age?
Huh?
At what age?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the abuse started at 3. I remember my stepdad had thrown me down a flight of stairs at 3 years old. I mean, I have memories that go back as far as 3 years old. That's when she got with him. And he would, he threw me down the stairs. If I were to cry, if I was sick or hungry or, basic necessities as like a child, I would get beaten. So I wasn't allowed to like have a voice and if I did have a voice, I would get beaten, and that's just how it went.
Were you an only child?
I was an only child. I was supposed to be, I'm not supposed to be here right now. My mom wanted to abort me, and she would tell me that all the time. I wish I would have aborted you, but, whatever. I mean, it doesn't like, my childhood doesn't like bother me. It's like, I just kind of like try to like not think about it really, But yeah, so that's how that went up until I was 15. And I'll never forget this moment. It's when I fought back because I mean, I was taking all this abuse for no reason. It's my parents, they hated themselves, or I don't want to say my parents, it's my mom, my stepdad. My dad is lovely. Like, he's my best friend. I'm lucky to have him.
Okay, and that's about enough. Now, here comes my elaboration. I'm assuming that people have had like that people were able to follow it essentially, so the subject essentially, and for why this, for, sorry, the subject essentially for why I am playing this video. Yeah, I said I was going to give people like half a minute to have everything sink in, but upon further so-called inspection, that's not really necessary. Now, if you're watching this and you actually paid attention, if you were watching this girl Savannah that's being interviewed, she allegedly has bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, and she calls herself beautiful, bipolar, borderline, and beautiful, or that's what she's being called. So triple B, BBB, Savannah. Now, what did you notice from listening to her? When I listened to her, what I said, you know what I said within 30 seconds? Because I immediately noticed something. I was like, why does it sound like she's talking out of her ass? You can clearly tell that when she talks, the stuff she talks about, it, it it's not real. It didn't actually happen to her because there is no merit behind it. You can hear it essentially. It sounds like a fabricated tale. It's like when someone tries to lie and the person, even that is better because the person still has an intent, and the intent is being deceptive. So the deception in this case would be a lie. If someone says, Why didn't you show up to my birthday party last night? Oh, I was feeling a little bit under the weather. Um, I had like a really nasty cough that came back after 3 years to haunt me, and then I had to go to the ER, and I tried to like get some medicine, but they didn't have it in stock, and I had to run all over town. Yeah, it's obvious that you're fucking lying because point one, you're giving too much information. Point two, your tone of voice immediately gives away that you're essentially making things up as you go. This is not a tale that has actual merit. You can simply hear the lying. You can hear that it is a fabrication. Okay, you can hear that there is no essentially energy and intent and emotion behind just behind you as a whole, honestly, and your so-called tall tale. Yeah, it's the same thing with this girl, with Savannah, this woman, whatever. You can also clearly tell. And imagine, check this out for the video duration. The video is like what? What is it? It's an hour and 1 minute and 3 seconds long. And then there's a part two that is 35 minutes and 19 seconds long. And I already checked out the part two. She just keeps yapping on and on and on and on. And when I saw this, I was like, this is quite interesting because it's a very interesting and I think rare case of BPD, borderline personality disorder. In this case, my guess would be, believe me, she literally just goes on for like almost 2 hours. Honestly, if you watch part two, it's like an hour and a half, like a movie long, worth of nothing but talking, 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 and you can clearly tell that at the very least, the majority of it is not true. As far as I'm concerned, none of it is true. Okay, you can clearly tell when listening to her that she is essentially making this stuff up, and she got it from external sources, from other people's lives, from reading books, novels, from watching TV, imagine soap operas, drama, stuff like that. When you listen to her, you're gonna be like, wow, this person has to be like one of the most interesting people on the planet to have gone through those kind of extraordinary things and to have endured so much pain and suffering. She also mentions tremendous levels of physical trauma. She was thrown down a flight of stairs or something similar. She was beaten. This happened, that happened, blah 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 blah. And yet, look at the way she looks. She looks quite good. You tell me if someone that had to endure that kind of negativity would not even have like one thingy on them, one mark or a scratch even. I mean, it doesn't matter how much medical and surgical interventions take place. Still, the trauma would be written all over her face because again, the physical trauma would primarily be instigated by mental trauma, and that would still have to be visible. You can clearly tell when looking at her. Just look at her. Look at her posture. Look at her body language. Look at her eyes. You can clearly tell this is a cute Barbie doll looking girl or woman, but you can clearly tell that something is up. That it's obvious that she's very, very mentally unwell, and she also keeps crossing her knees or folding her knees every like 10 or 20 seconds or something, which I also find very, very compulsive in an unhealthy manner. Okay, this is not like someone fidgeting about. This is again, this is a classical a physical characteristic of mental illness, and I don't think she's aware of it. That is definitely also the case. Usually, when someone fidgets, they're aware, they're self-aware of their fidgeting or their fidgety behavior. But in this case, this girl is not even this woman or girl, whatever, Savannah in question. She's not even remotely aware of all of this or any of this, of the fact that if I were to point it out, she would just be like, oh, no, yes, yes. And then she would make up some bullshit story that she, again, most likely got from an external source somewhere, like the likes of which I already mentioned earlier. So again, she just keeps yapping on and on. And I couldn't stomach all of it. I only watched like, I think 30 minutes. After that, I was like, oh, okay, I can't take any more of this craziness, literally. Metaphorically speaking, I can't take any more of it. You can clearly tell that she literally, all, if not at the very least, most of the things she brings up are fabrications, as in they're legitimate fabrications. None of the stuff ever happened, or at best, it happened in a severely toned down manner. So essentially, going to the store for her equals going to the store, being held up at gunpoint, being rescued by Bruce Willis, all the while having cucumbers in the cucumber aisle or vegetable aisle of said supermarket explode because of a hidden C4 explosive being detonated. That's what I'm talking about. And I think this is the first time that I've seen this type of BPD, borderline personality disorder, where someone essentially, let's just say in her case, what I would say off the top of my head, if you ask me, I would say that she was never liked as a child, or she was never given attention to, and she did grow up, in a broken home filled with pain and suffering, and she was severely neglected. So, as like some kind of countermeasure or as a trauma, and the mental damage she sustained, being said trauma, she deliberately tries to come up with these interesting stories so that people will actually pay attention to her and find her interesting. It's essentially like a cry for attention, but in a very sick, twisted manner. Definitely not good whatsoever. And yeah, what else can I say? And yeah, in terms of the things she says, the story she tells, most likely, like I said, it comes from an external source. She watched a lot of TV because she was alone a lot. She had no one else but the TV. She she read a lot of books, you name it, a lot of stories, a lot of magazines, and she essentially separated her consciousness to escape from harsh reality and mentally dove into those books. And she essentially took stories and mixed things up a little, or combined several stories as a means of creating her own story, rather than the cesspool that is her life, or the lack of any kind of identity or any kind of life that can even remotely be seen as interesting or even mundane, honestly. So yeah, this is also someone that is very bluntly put fucked up. But nevertheless, from a neutral perspective, a psychological perspective, quite interesting. Now, another thing as well is that the video has 2.5K downvotes. Like 75% of people upvoted the video, and 25% of people, which is a lot, downvoted the video. And before I played the video, I was like, I need to check out the comment section. But only after only 30 seconds, like I said, I immediately was like, I see why people downvoted this thing. And believe me, I also commented. You'll find my comments if you look close enough in the comment section of this video. Only both part one and part two. Or I'd also replied to people that commented that I agree with. The first, I think, the third or fourth comment, I'm going to read it for you so that you can see for yourself. Because again, this is not, you don't have to be a genius or a psychologist or anything. Everything I said, you can easily connect the dots for yourself. This thing is going in my mental illness playlist, this video, obviously. Now, listen to this for yourself, okay? Someone commented, like, what's this, like this first, second, third, fourth, fifth comment. As much as I wish to believe her and hear her story, I have lots of experience with people diagnosed with BPD and borderline. Many will take on other people's stories and make them their own in the midst of their perceived lack of identity. It's interesting to hear her contradict herself in almost every other sentence. I don't mean this in a negative or hateful way, but there is another layer to this story. Unless you have someone close to you with her diagnosis or have studied them in school, you may not pick up on her behavior that is very reflective of her mental health disorders. I wish she would have focused on her past and how her mental health has affected her. I understand that it might have been too hard, but in some moments it seems as if she is glamorizing drug use and belittling the actual danger it can cause. I hope in part two she tells her real story. Yeah, fat chance of that happening. This is something that I commented on, and my comment is, let me see. What is my comment? All I had to do is listen to her for a few minutes, and I'm like, why does her story sound like total and absolute bullshit? Just common sense will tell you. I hope for her that my guess is wrong, but unlikely. And in part two, hold on. In part two, I also comment. Where are you? Where is my comment? I think I commented as well in part two. Where are you? Damn it, I can't remember if my comment was like removed or something. I don't think so. I find it very weird. Um, Yeah, anyways, I can't find it. It's possible that YouTube removed it due to some kind of stupid community guidelines. It's maybe something I said wrong. I don't care. I don't care. Anyways, so yeah, that was it for this video, guys. Yeah, this is definitely something to be mindful of. You're welcome to watch both these videos if you have the time, or if you want to, and or if you want to. Again, all of it, you can find it linked in the description of this video. Goodbye and until next time.